Oh, hello YouTube, how you doing, Earthlings, and anyone else that happens to be watching? Any other animals, Earthlings of all kind? Anyway, I wanted to show you what I've been doing with my dagger that I made. I think I might have shown you it before, and beforehand it had these little metal strips going down it. See, they kind of fit quite nicely down there still, but then one side it kind of, they were basically on there for strengthening, super glued on there. These are two separate pieces of aluminium super glued together, and one side they don't seem to like heat at all, so one side decided to sort of peel up and fall off, and then the other side I just took off because I realised that actually just the two pieces together are going to make quite a nice blade. And as you can see, I've been doing lots of I had these bits attached on here. Then I think you remember that I had to fill up. I just basically glued this into the handle. I cut off all the old part of there's the sword I had. I'll show you. Yeah, I just cut off this part of this kid's toy sword, and then before really thinking about it, I just sort of glued it in there and started trying to shape it up. And I waited. I had to, so I drilled a little hole in here to try. But what I've done, I fed in loads of tiny little bits of lead. Lead would have probably filled up that entire bottom part, and then there's, in fact I've got a rattle there now still, but I've got to take this apart. But then I squirted in some super glue and some plaster. Then after I put this plaster, I was injecting plaster in there with a syringe. And then I realised that it was actually pumice I was putting in there, so that wouldn't actually work, which is a sort of a dust that you use for with water to polish dentures and things. So then I squirted loads more super glue into the pumice, but I couldn't feel another rattle in there. But it's all going to come apart anyway, because I'm going to have to take this handle out off the blade, because I'm going to have to put a metal cross guard on it like I did with my sword. My sword is here. I'm really pleased with how this came out. The drawer handle cross guard on there. See, it's quite looking not first hand. It's been in the wars a little bit. So I like the look of it. So I'm going to have to get this off, and I'm going to have to undo these two screws, and it's all going to have to come apart, and I'll see what mess is inside there. Yeah, so I've been buying some more drawer handles. This was my first attempt at one of them, and I've seen someone actually make a sword with this particular style, but I broke off the end bits there. And I've got two sizes of this particular type. I quite like this. I quite like this because they're quite flared out in the middle, and they're just quite a nice shape. I've tried to sort of flatten this one out a little bit, but I was humming and hawing about whether to use that short, small one or this larger one. I think I'm going to go for this one, but I've got a few other ones that I've bought. I bought this kind of style for completely straight across. I'm obviously going to take these bits off, so it's just going to be straight across that one. Or this one was quite nice, goldy coloured, little bit of detail work. This one would look quite nice if I was going to keep the gold coloured handle, but I'm not going to be keeping the gold coloured handle. And then some others I bought that I shouldn't really have bought. I should have paid more attention to the listing. I thought this would look quite nice, obviously without those bits, but then I've discovered that it's got this plastic bit stuck on there, so it's actually only, it still may be able to be used. And then the same goes for I bought two of those different sizes, so I've got two that don't really work. But I don't know, I might be able to make them work. Then I've got this one as well, which has got this plastic or might be wood inlay. That's just going to be a kind of a cross guard, but that's not really going to work at the moment. But that's only about a quid, £2 each at the time. So, but I think I'm going to be happy with this one. I think I'm going to be using this one. I think it's quite well proportioned with the knife, and I think it's not going to have too much of an overhang. I can reduce this down a little bit. I don't know what they were thinking when they done all this fancy work in here, but I'm probably going to take all of this down completely, all of this fancy stuff on there, and then do a wire wrap around it maybe. I'm going to smooth off this pommel as much as I can, get rid of all that fancy stuff. It's just been designed in America, isn't it, or somewhere that thinks you've got to have really, really thick bit of plastic here and loads of fancy detail work on it. I'm not saying there wasn't any sorts of fancy detail work on, I just don't want it on my wall hangers. And also I put a message up about my metal heater shield. Just go and get that quickly. Yeah, this thing, and about how I've always taken the thought that shields would be metal, especially I used to hear metal against metal when you're bashing a shield against a sword. When I was watching old programs in the past and old films, and I've always thought of metal, heater shields being metal. And it says on Wikipedia that they can be metal as well, but I've had it on good advice from Todd's workshop that no, metal heater shields weren't really used as far as he knows, and he knows much more about historical accuracy than I do. You probably know exactly, the exact formula where it was written, how they were made, and why they weren't made of other materials. But I like my metal heater shield. I'm going to be making my kite shield out of sheet steel as well, but I think it'll be a heavier than what would have been able to be managed back in those times. But there was definitely a King Henry II metal heater shield out there. But as for sort of general use, I think most of them were probably wood covered in canvas, or other forms of covering. Of course, I'm in leather, but I'm trying not to say it. Anyway, I'm just gonna, I might as well just I'll show you a bit of my rubbing down of these things actually very quickly, just over here. What I'm doing to get a nice smooth surface. 8 minutes so far. So I went down over it with sort of done a basic shape, then I went over it with some sandpapers going down in grit size. And now I'm just sort of using this rubber wheel to sort of contour it a bit. I've been trying to sort of burr over these marks into the so it sort of closes that tiny little line a bit, but I have done some areas, but I think I'm just going to have to leave it really. I'm just going up to the middle with my wheel. I know it's not working, but I've kind of liked the what are the cross sections that they're called? My oak shop cross sections chart quickly if I can. double beveled maybe. Come on. Anyway, while my PC churns away trying to pull up my pictures folder, I'll just carry on doing this for a little bit. To show my pictures now, thank you very much. Come on. Right, here we are, profiles. Common blade cross sections, the diamond, hollow ground, hexagonal, lenticular, the ones that I'm really looking at. I haven't got a fuller at all, so the diamond would be obviously a diamond where you've got two lines down and push up, and then hollow ground is what I was trying to get this to look like. So you'd have a grounding bit there to a thin blade, a ground bit there but you have a raised section in the middle. But I haven't quite. It's actually lower in the middle, if anything. It's actually getting into a bit of a fuller, but it sort of goes. So I don't know what that's called, I don't know what sort of blade that is. But then on this side it sort of goes up a little bit more. I don't know what that is. I don't think the flat ends of the bar were quite flat enough. But anyway, I've just got to sort of get rid of all of the little grind marks I've got on the blade. I feel quite a bit of a fault on the edge there. Side, I don't know if you can see that. Side I have done. I don't know if that's working. Everyone does that with their hands. And this side is not done yet. So I suppose I could go on to the. I've done one side. I could just show you how I'm going to do the final polish. So I'll get this. One rubber wheel here, polishing compound. I've got a big nylon, layered nylon wheel to use in my drill, but I'm going to try it after I've done this. I just want to show you what sort of. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to use my drill because it's going to take ages otherwise. Side of that side done is hard to polish it. But anyway, I've got I can show you actually. Let me just try and get it set up right as well. See if it works at all. Buying all sorts of stuff from angle grinder. I've got this pad that you can stick on different grades of sandpaper on, and the use of this, so that will drill, that will fit straight onto the angle grinder. It's called an M14 thread, and if you fit that bit in here, and you can fit it straight into your drill as well, which is really good. I've got this mop that I was trying yesterday. break my drill. I think I'll probably just have. No idea if this is going to work. Wow. I'd say that's a success. I'm liking that. Excellent. I'll have to invest in some more polishing compound. But anyway, what that one is. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. So I'm just gonna finish rubbering the rubber wheel in this quadrant. Then I'm going to be polishing with my mop setup. Anyway, hope you like the video. I'm just getting components together actually to make my sheath, my scabbard, as I'm going to carry on calling it. It's not a sheath. For a long sword, it's called a scabbard, and this is a long sword as opposed to a short sword. So yeah, make my scabbard for my sword. Anyway, that'll be in a later video. I hope you enjoyed what you've just seen, and take care. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.